Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be reviewing this B6 size notebook from Citrus Book Bindery. So as I was searching around the internet for a B6 size notebook, because I was thinking about perhaps bullet journaling and putting a B6 size notebook into my B6 Traveler's Notebook cover, I ran across this company based out of the UK, and it's called the Citrus Book Bindery. They had some pretty cool options for notebooks, including this lay flat B6. So this one is a copper shiny cover, which is why the camera's having a little bit of a hard time picking it up. But it is a shimmery, although there is no shimmer actually on it. So the material is it's totally flat, and you can kind of hear the sound that it makes. And in the back, it is sealed with this cream cardstock color, and that is what the front and the back look like. It has two bindings or two elastics for closure. One of them could be used to mark a specific area in your book, which is what I used it for, and then the other one could be used to close the book completely. The binding on the side is that lay perfectly flat or perfect binding. So you can see that it's actually, the book is made out of several smaller books that are then sewn together in these four places. So even though it's said to be a perfect binding or a lie flat binding, I find that it really only lies flat between the actual books. But if you are in one of these sections, it could be somewhat harder to get it to lie flat. So this is the center of one of the books. But if I go to a page where it's not the center, here you can see that there's just a little bit more difficulty in having it lay completely flat. So some more of the specifications on this book. The B6 size cost $47 US and 41 cents. The amount of pages in here, so there's 191 pages, and there are 130 GSM, so they are quite thick and substantial pages. So you can customize the inside pages as much as you'd like. So there are blank pages, there are ruled pages, dot grid pages, or just graph or gridded pages, and there's also watercolor pages. So I chose to get the conventional 5mm dots. I also asked them if they wouldn't mind numbering all of the pages, so the numbering does not come automatically in these notebooks, but if you put in a custom order request, they could insert the page number for you, so they were nice enough to do that for me. In addition to the 192 pages that their books come with, you have an option of adding an additional 48 pages at an additional cost. It also comes with 3 ribbon bookmarks. They are all the same color, so it makes it a little bit difficult to differentiate with when you're using all 3 of them. So if I were to order from them again, I might ask if there was an option of doing a different color ribbons, because that might help to differentiate, say if you have one in your monthly and one in your weekly and one in your daily. I was able to set up this journal, so at the beginning I put in a small sticker for 2018 with the yearly overview. I set up a future log here from April through to the end of 2018. And then I put in a large sticker for a 2019 overview, and I also started playing around with adding some stickers and starting some collections. Now this is where I kind of got stuck, and the reason why I won't be using this as my bullet journal. The quality of the pages is really nice, so as I said, it's very nice and thick, 130 GSMs, but the actual texture of the page is probably more consistent with craft paper or watercolor paper. Just the thickness of it and how coarse it is makes it so that it's difficult for me to use my brush pens. So although I love kind of the layout of this, I love the size of this because it was rather difficult to find a B6 notebook, much much less a B6 notebook that I could customize. So I was able to customize the cover. I was able to choose the dot grid that I wanted. It's numbered. So there's so many things that I love about this notebook, but I also really like using my brush pens. And when I use my brush pens, I can hear it kind of scratching, and I can feel that over time, this would potentially compromise my Pentel Touch sign pens, which is what I used in it. So that's the only reason why this isn't my primary bullet journal at the moment, although I am going to keep it around because I think I might use it in the future, especially if I'm using perhaps different brush pens or I just get into using different types of pens. And the notebook quality and the look of it itself, I really do love. So I'm keeping it around. What I thought I would do is take some time to do a pen test. I started to do it a little bit off camera, but I'm going to do another one here in the back just to show you all how well this paper does in terms of taking some very inky pens. With that being said, it is just a very kind of coarse paper. So if you're using some Tombow brush pens, or like I use the Pentel sign pens, I think over time you will be doing some damage to your pens with this paper. So it turns out my camera was not recording as I went ahead and did this pen test. But as you can see, there's sometimes when I did the pen test and I didn't even do a swatch next to it, mostly because I was concerned about how my pens were doing. So with this Pilot Razor Point, you can see here at the bottom of the Z, the pen or the ink wasn't really transferring nicely onto the paper, and I could actually hear it scratching the paper when I was using any of my fine liners. The Super Tip was used next, and that was fine. I didn't feel like the paper was doing anything to it, so I just went ahead and did a swatch. Then I did the Papermate Inkjoy, the Faber-Castell Artist Pen, my Le Pen pen. I also did the Pilot Feud pen, which is one of these little guys where you can make them different types of pens. There's just an ink cartridge on the inside, and I used my brush tip with that. That is my inkiest of my brush pens, which is why I use that one. And then just to really put this paper to the test, and I actually enjoyed writing with these the most, I used my thin Sharpie, not the Sharpie pen, but like an actual Sharpie marker. And then I went ahead and did a regular thick Sharpie marker here at the bottom, and I also did a swatch. I haven't turned the page yet, but I'm interested to see in how this paper holds up. As you can see, there's almost no ghosting or bleed through. So here, even with the thick Sharpie and even with the swatch, it's not completely coming through on the opposite side of the page, and the thin Sharpie is just barely coming through. So this is some heavy duty, high quality paper, and I would venture to say potentially even better than the Inkwell Press paper, which is like my favorite paper when it comes to that really thick, meaty paper. In terms of what types of pens it can hold up to as well. So there's some pluses and minuses. On the plus side, if you are an artist, using potentially watercolor might go very nicely on this. If you love Sharpies and you're looking for a notebook that can withstand a thin Sharpie or even a thick Sharpie, give this guy a try, because not only is it beautiful, but the paper is also rugged enough to withstand some of those like behemoths, like the actual thick regular Sharpie in black. For me right now, using my brush pens and my fine liners is what I'm really into, so potentially the ruggedness of the paper doesn't really jive well with what my pen preferences are at the moment. But overall, I think this is a high quality notebook and probably one worth adding to your collection if you're looking for these thicker notebooks in sizes that are a little bit unusual. They're also really flexible and are able to customize your interior, your papers, in terms of lines, dots, grids, as well as providing numbering in the pages, which was something that was really important to me and not something that I saw in any other B6 size notebooks. That's it for today, guys. I hope this video brought you some utility and joy.